Well, it's 5:31. Call the Finance Committee meeting to order. Members present are Mrs. Floyd, Mr. Marmey, Mr. Love, Mr. Cost, and myself. We do have some items on our agenda tonight, so we'll have a spokesperson for the administration speak on it. And if you have questions or comments, please remember to come to the podium and direct your questions to the chair. Our first item of business is to consider ordinance number 1415, an ordinance to provide for the issuance of $6,600,000 of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of paying the cost of capital improvements, including fire station number 1 improvements, including demolition, professional design, and property acquisition, City Hall parking improvements, South 2nd Street Bridge repair, together with additional fire station number 1 improvements, phase 1, the additional funds for fire station improvements and all necessary appurtenances thereto, and declaring an emergency. All right, Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, need I say more? I think you got it. This legislation will allow us to renew and increase an existing note. 2 years ago, the city sold a bond anticipation note for $2.1 million, one to do the various constructions items you mentioned in the parking lot, service complex, and the South 2nd Street Bridge, along with $1.1 million to begin the process of building the fire station. That was increased last year by $1 million. That money was used for the acquisition of real estate, preparing the real estate for the construction, and to hire an architect to develop plans for the building. Bids were taken last week, and so what this legislation will do is renew the past debt that we have, plus increase it by $3.4 million for the construction of the fire station. So of the $6.6 million before you tonight, $5.6 million is for the fire station project, and the remaining million is for the other three items. The $3.2 million note is due on July 28th, so we will have to take some form of action, nothing else, just to take care of that. The fire station project has dedicated revenues, I'm sure you're all aware, from EMS billing. Portions of that are set aside to retire the debt, and it looks to me like this $5.6 million project will cost the city somewhere below $300,000 for the length of the debt. The dedicated stream of revenue will produce, as it stands right now, about $325,000, so the revenue stream is okay. The remaining $1 million for those other three projects will be just general obligations of the city. I'm asking that this be an emergency, as it says in the preamble, because we do have a deadline, and none of the interested parties will do anything for this note renewal until such time as legislation is passed.
And it was the deadline because of the renewal with the $3.2 million?
Yes.
And what was that date?
I believe it is July 28th.
July 28th.
Yes.
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Mr. Bub. Second, Mr. Marvin. The question I had, Steve, is you and I had a previous conversation, and it would be, I guess I'd like to, at some point, it would be nice to have a sort of overall budget public debt in total for the city. You know, we have some other projects on our agenda. You know, that the downtown renovations going to be occurring, the fire station, and then there's just general debt that we've been accruing from the water department, things like that. But it would be nice to see some type of figure or graph or something to show what is the public debt that we currently have. So I think you mentioned that you might be able to...
I can provide something like that, and you know, the public debt is kind of like in different categories.
Right.
We have general obligation debt, which is what we have to somehow find a way to fund out of our treasury. And then we have water, sewer, and stormwater debt, which Mr. Loomis graciously pays. And then we have TIF debt that someone who benefited from the project pays. And we also have special assessment debt, where a certain area was improved one way or the other, and the residents who benefited from that are paying for that debt. I can put it all together for you.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Any other questions from the committee? Questions from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor of moving this on to full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Move on to full council 5-0. Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda is Resolution 1448, appropriating monies for the current expenses of the municipal corporation. And the first three items, I believe, is Mr. Loomis.
Let's handle these all three as kind of one, or
We'll vote on them separately, but if you want to speak to all of them, that's
yeah, the items that are on here are $15,000 out of the water funds, 15 out of the sewer funds, and then 5,000 out of the storm funds. This is for a couple things, but all related to our GIS system. We have a program called GeoAsset, which is what program we developed with our consultants to manage our water, sewer, and stormwater assets on a GIS platform. And so part of this money is for maintenance of that system because we are upgrading software. The ArcGIS software has been upgraded. Our maintenance software has been upgraded, so we kind of need to upgrade our GeoAsset to match that. And also then it's kind of what we're going to do is upgrade the system so that we'll be able to provide this a mobile application and a web-based system so that our people will have information available to them in their trucks and that kind of thing on-site kind of stuff. So kind of a portion of it's for maintenance, a portion of it's for upgrading to a mobile application. Even though we have a mobile app right now, but we also want to provide for the GIS data, this will be able to provide our asset management, in other words, size of lines, work order histories, that kind of stuff online, with the mapping, other mapping, scan mapping online as well. So that's what this money is going to be used for. So three items.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Club, second Mrs. Floyd. This is to move on section 1 to full council. Any questions of the committee? Questions from the audience? All in favor of moving the first section on to full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. That section is moved on 5-0. Entertain a motion for the second section. Motion, Mr. Cost. Second, Mrs. Floyd. Questions from the committee? From the audience? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Move it on full council. Aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Move on 5-0. And the final piece, which is the $5,000, is entertain a motion. Motion, Mr. Marcus. Motion, Mr. Cost. Questions from the committee? From the audience? All those in favor move on full council signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Okay, thank you, Mr. Loomis. Okay, the fourth piece is dealing with the Babe Ruth Park, Director Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an insurance check. We had a lightning strike out there, and we made some repairs to the lighting and the amp. I'd just like to appropriate that $742.98.
Motion, Director Rhodes. Motion, Mr. Cobb. Second, to Ms. Floyd. Question from the committee? From the audience? All those in favor of on full council signify by saying aye. Aye. Those same sign. Motion carried 5-0. Thank you. Okay. All right.
Spending lots of money.
Our next piece of legislation is Resolution 1449, appropriating monies for the current expenses of the municipal corporation. This is for the downtown renovations. Mr. Loomis, please speak to these there's four pieces here.
Yeah, the first three are regarding the downtown renovation project. The last one's it says downtown renovation, but it's actually for another project. So the first three are for professional services, this is the remainder of the money we need to spend to design finish the design work on the downtown renovation project. We've included some, you'll note the section 3 includes some money for the stormwater utility. We have been able to secure a loan, or I shouldn't say, been able to apply for a loan for some stormwater work at a really good discounted rate to Ohio Department of Development to add some stormwater features to the downtown, which would be things like bioswales, those kind of things. So we can the plan is to divert about 70% of the storm flow through the bioswales and treat that to about 40% reduction of pollutants in the stormwater. So that's why we're going to include some professional services in there to work on that. Well, it's just a little chunk of the project, and we want to add that in there just because we think it's the right thing to do. We got a pretty good, just a little over 1% to do that work. So this is what we're asking for, is the rest of the money to design the project.
Any questions from the committee? Mr. Cross?
What is the fourth section?
Well, the fourth item is from our CSO 1030 project. We finalized that contract and the contract with the contractor, and what we do when we finish those loans up is that was a combined project, so there was some stormwater work on there, there was some sanitary work on there, and when we did the budget for the loan repayment, this is a loan repayment number is what it is. That money, we had the whole loan repayment in our budget, but it was in the sanitary sewer budget. It needed to be out of the stormwater budget when we finalized all where the money was coming from, and so that's simply getting the proper proportion of money from stormwater into the principal and interest for that loan repayment for that project.
I'll make a motion on the first one.
Mrs. Floyd moves. Second from Mr. Butler. This is for the first section. You moved on to full council. Before we vote, could you speak to the timeline at which you see work progressing over?
We're still trying to, shooting for the December or October loan award. If we don't get it in October, it would have to go to December, which is the only other time we can get that loan awarded in this year. But we're still shooting for that the end of October loan award, so we'll have to be bidding this in October is what we're still shooting for. So
the project will go up for bid around that time frame.
Right. There's still some, obviously a lot of design work to do between now and then. We're just starting on the water portion of that, so there's still some questions up in the air about some of the things that are going on with that. So hopefully here in the next couple of months we'll have some pretty definite answers, but nothing just yet.
And I did see you wanted this expedited. Is it?
Yeah, because it's ongoing work, and I'm about to be able to pay them for their services.
There's been a motion by Mrs. Floyd, second Mr. Bubb. Any other questions from the committee? Questions from the audience? All those in favor of moving section 1 on to full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Section 1 is moved on. Entertain a motion for section 2. Motion, Ms. Floyd, second, Mr. Cost. Questions from the committee? From the audience? All those in favor to move this on full council, signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed, same sign. 5-0. And section 3. Entertain a motion for this. Motion, Ms. Floyd. Second, Mr. Bubb. Questions of the committee or of the audience? All those in favor of moving this on to full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. 5-0. And for the loan repayment, section 4. Motion, Mr. Martin. Second. Mr. Bubb, second. Questions from the committee? From the audience? All those in favor signify by saying aye to move it on. Aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. That concludes our agenda for tonight. Next is service.
All right, we're bringing the Service Committee meeting to order. Members present are Mr. Clement, Mr. Roletta, Mr. Rash, Mr. Brown, myself. Consider Resolution 1447 authorizing the Director of Public Service to sell certain city property as described herein by internet auction.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do this every year, and by resolution, once a year, I need council's permission to sell city stuff on gov deals. And that's all I'm asking you to do, is give us the permission to continue to do that.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bud, second by Mr. Roletta.
Whatever.
Second by, I only want to do the second. Mr. Clement?
Whatever the chair likes.
You can get the blade from that or above.
Right about that now, Mr. Kelly. Say that yourself. Thank you. That's third. Thank you for your help. Okay. Any questions from the members of the committee other than the first and second? Any questions from the audience? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, moves on to full council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Last one, let's see, it's over there. It's in the seals right here. Next is street committee.
Call the street committee together. Members Paul, Blake, Brad, Roletta, Barney, Floyd, and myself, Johnson. Consider Resolution 1450, intent to vacate a portion of the 16-foot wide alley as shown on the plat in the Wilton Smith edition as recorded in Plat Book 4, page 114 of Licking County Plat Records located between Eddy Street and Central Avenue.
This is a request that we had in, back up just a minute. I came to you in, at the end of January with 5 different alley and street vacation requests. And this was one of those from them. The resident at, or the owner at 274 Eddy Street is requesting this, and there was no objection by the fire department as to this one.
Mr. Johnson, may I ask a question? Is there really an alley there? I just drove down by it, and it's like a lot, and a guy was mowing it.
Yeah, it's
Is it
grass.
some of the other lower?
It's not an improved alley.
Okay, thank you.
It's an alley on paper.
Okay, thank you.
Motion. Second. Second. Moved by Rath, second by Roletta. Any questions from the audience? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 1451, a resolution of intent to vacate a portion of Market Street, a portion of a 16.5-foot alley and a portion of a 25.75-foot wide alley as shown on the plat of PM Waddy's edition as recorded in the Plat Book 2, page 128, Licking County Plat Records located southwest Main Street and west of South 5th Street.
Again, this was one that we discussed back in January, and the fire department had some issues with this one. Subsequently, we met with the fire department back in April. We met with Chief Stickrat, myself, Mayor Hall, Service Director Rhodes, and staff at the library met. kind of talk through the issues and talk through what their plans were. And at the end of the meeting, Chief Stickrack was satisfied that this would not present any problem in moving forward with this vacation. So, presenting that to you.
Second.
Any questions? Any questions from the audience? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Resolution 1452, a resolution of intent to vacate a portion of a 10-foot wide alley as shown on the plat of David M. Moore's edition as recorded in Plat Book 3, pages 30, 31 of the Lincoln County Plat Records located north of Valley Street.
This one was one of the ones we presented back in January, and the fire department had no objection to this. Actually, the half of the 10-foot alley was vacated back in 1874, I believe. So there's only 5 foot of it, or 1892, sorry. And so the only remaining portion is a 5 foot half width of it. So.
Motion.
Second. Jeff Ross.
Any questions? Other questions? Is it often used?
No, it's grass.
Any questions from the audience? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion opposed? Any opposed? Motion carries. And consider Resolution 1453, a resolution of intent to vacate a portion of a 16-foot wide alley as shown as originally part of Outlot 68 on the plat of the William C. Mahone edition as recorded in Plat Book 1, pages 130 and 131 of Lincoln County Plat Records located north of Cambridge Street.
Again, this was one that from back in January the fire department had no objection with. If you drive by it, this is an undeveloped alley also. There's trees and grass and shrubbery in the alley. This was brought to us by the property owner on the east side of the alley. Actually, a portion of his garage at the rear encroaches into the alley, and in order to refinance his house, this needed to be cleared up, so he's the requester for this one.
I see a little section there behind 22 that's not being vacated in the map. I was just wondering, is that already vacated, or why are we not just extending it out?
There is some dispute as to whether that's vacated or not. I have not been able to find definite records at the county, recorded with the county, to say that that is not vacated. And I haven't been able to find records to say it is vacated. So.
General consensus.
There's a house on it.
Yes, the general consensus is that it is vacated because there's a garage or some sort of structure built across there.
Motion. Second.
Any other questions?
I just had a procedure question. When we do these, do you notify like the immediate property owners to these, or how do they get like for example, this one the person requested who lives right there, but do the others get notified, or how does that work?
They will get notified as part of the public hearing process. If the resolution of intent is passed, and then we provide Autumn with a list of the adjacent property owners within 200 feet, and they'll be notified prior to the public hearing and prior to your final vote of council. Thank you.
Any other questions? Questions from the audience? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Resolution number 1454, a resolution of intent to vacate a portion of an 11.54-foot wide alley as being part of the right-of-way on the east side of Lot 16 and Warner's allotment in the city of Newark, Plat Book 5, page 10, located north of Dickerson Street. Do you have any questions?
This is one of the ones we discussed in January also, and originally the fire department recommended against vacating this. Consequently, we met with fire department on site, and there was just some confusion as to where the alley actually, where the portion that's being vacated actually is. Once I pointed that out to them, they have changed their mind and decided they are not opposed to it at this point.
Ryan, the original plans for this was to expand the building north. And
I understand that's still Dr. Wing's idea, is to expand his doctor's office to the north, somewhat over top of where the existing parking lot is, and then reconstruct parking back in that grassy area north of the existing lot, and also to the west.
okay, well, my question is, there seems to be a house going up in there.
The house is south of there, yes. South of the parking lot.
South of the future parking lot, I should say.
There's a house going in right here, next to this house. And then his office will be expanded to the north. And then this will be parking back here and then across onto this lot. So the parking would be across the vacated portion of the alley.
Okay. Is he still going to expand the office?
That's my understanding. They've been talking to them last week.
Okay.
Any questions? Motion. Motion by Martin, second by Floyd. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That concludes the street committee. Thank you.
Okay, the personnel committee for Newark City Council is called to order. Members present are Bug, Marmee, Valletta, Guthrie, and Floyd. We're here to discuss ordinance 14-16, an ordinance amending the position classification, pay range, and position authorization tables of the Department of Public Service Division of Street Maintenance by creating one additional crew leader and abolishing one position of equipment operator. And Mr. Rhodes is going to explain.
Thank you. Thank you. What our thoughts here is the cost to the city is about 50 cents an hour. We have another crew leader position, which we currently have one. But the crews that are out during the day will have a crew leader there, somebody responsible, somebody kind of looking around to see if there's additional things that need to be done. And we think we'll be a little bit more efficient. We plan to promote from within. And that's what we proposed.
Make a motion.
Okay, motion by Bug,
Second.
second by Marmee. Do we have questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
may I ask Director Rhodes a question? Director Rhodes, we are eliminating a worker position and creating another supervisor. Do you think it's necessary for us to keep the other supervisor position that's been vacant since January? And could you tell me what are some of the differences between that old supervisor position and the new one you aim to create?
Number one, I'm not eliminating a worker position, so you're confused there. Okay. What we're doing is we're taking somebody that's out on the crew and we're putting them in a position to look around and make decisions so they don't have to drive back or wait for Buster to drive over. We're empowering our employees a little bit there. So that's number one. Number two, it's a total different level of management. So we're not asking this person to make large scope decisions. We're asking them to make decisions if they're on a pothole filling crew. Just not to go down one street and fill the potholes where they have the complaint. We're asking them to look around a little bit and see if there's maybe another pothole down the side street
or hey guys, we can do this a little quicker and we can get down to here to our next thing. That's all. It's a very simple thing. It's a union position. Somebody's going to get a little bit of a raise.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, Madam Chairman, I was going to call you David, but I better call you Mr. Rhodes, and don't let it with
You call it Mr. Rhodes. Call it whatever you like. I've known you for 11 years.
I think one thing, and I'm not, and you correct me if I'm wrong on this, I think that folks really need to understand this. You know, the legislation eliminates an equipment operator position, but folks need to understand that even though the legislation eliminates one, it's really cosmetic, because the position we've got 4 equipment operators that are vacant. So that just means we're going to have 3 equipment operators that are vacant. Correct me if I'm wrong, David, right?
I don't think we have that many there. We're getting ready to fill one. We've got some applicants. I think we've got 6 good applicants for one of the equipment operator positions that we're getting ready to fill.
Okay, well, I'm going on what Mr. Busker gave us, and it indicates that we have 4 equipment operators that are vacant currently, and maybe you're going to fill more of those. I don't know, but we're still, even eliminating this position, we're still going to have vacancies.
We're funded for one more additional equipment operator. There's other 2 operator positions are currently not funded in this current budget.
Yeah, and I understand that.
Okay,
So I think everybody needs to know that even though the legislation eliminates an equipment operator position, that it does not, you know, it's not as if there are equipment operators positions there that we're going to fill. We're not going to fill the 3 vacancies that will exist after this one's eliminated. We may fill 1, is what I'm hearing you say.
Only one of those vacancies funded, so you're correct. We won't be filling positions that were not funded in this year's budget. That's correct.
And Madam Chair, if I could, David, as you know, you and I have a difference on Mr. Prince's old position, in that I was under the understanding that once Mr. Prince's probation period was over, that you folks were going to be open to eliminating that position. After, you know, we finished dialogue with Mr. Rhodes, I'm going to offer an amendment on that. You know, I doubt the votes are there to accept it, but based on what I thought was an understanding we had, I am going to proceed to do that, Madam Chair.
Are there any other questions of Mr. Rhodes while he's up here? Anybody from the committee? Anybody from the audience? Okay. So you want to offer your amendment?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to move to eliminate the line. I'm assuming, I don't have anything from the law director, but I'm assuming we would simply be eliminating under the position classification the position of street maintenance operations manager, which is Mr. Prince's old position, which has been vacant since he was placed in a new position on January the 20th. And so that is my my motion to eliminate that.
What's it called?
Is street maintenance operations manager. That's what is noted here, and Mr. Busker made me aware that that was the position.
Street maintenance operations manager.
Correct.
Okay, is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Levine. Is there any discussion about the amendment?
Madam Chair, if I could just comment on the purpose. We are eliminating an equipment operator's position. I just feel that, with the city's financial condition being what it is, that we send a positive message to folks when we clear up some of these positions that are sitting there and could be filled with the money we're appropriated. And in a case like this, even though, I want to make this clear, the union has never agreed with my position that we should merge streets and traffic. But this administration has moved that direction. I think that's a positive thing. And I just firmly believe that based on the step that the administration took to put Mr. Prince into the one position, and by adding this position that council was asked to add tonight, you're going to have crew leaders, or whatever the position is called, on both sides, street and traffic, or a manager, I should say, a supervisory level person, even though it's a union position, who can assist with managing people in both streets and traffic. And I just think that it's a good time to get this position off the table, organization.
Thank you. Mr. Marmee, did you have a comment?
Yes, Madam Chair. I think that if Mr. Guthrie is wanting to do something like this, we don't normally abolish funded positions that the administration has not brought forward unless you want to bring forward additional legislation. Even if I would want to vote on these two issues separately, because I feel that it's two separate issues, and the administration has clearly indicated that they're looking into that possibility, and it may be something in the future, but they're not ready to make that determination. They're working through some of the structural changes that are currently going on and evaluating according to performance and other issues within the organization, and then they're going to weigh their decision on that. In talking to Director Rhodes, he's indicated that they're not saying that it's not going to happen, it's just they're not ready to make that plunge at this very time. But I just don't feel like you can just add something like that onto the legislation such as this. It would be like somebody saying, well, I need additional funding from Finance Committee, and we'll just offer an amendment and add something completely separate onto the agenda. I just don't think that that's the way that we should operate, and that if there's a separate piece of legislation that needs to be voted on, that should go through the proper channels and be in the council clerk's office at the particular time, and then heard by this committee and voted on according to that.
Okay. Any other comments from the committee? From the audience?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, before we, I would like to respond to
sure, that's fine.
Mr. Martin's comments. First, Doug, you made a reference to the funding issue, and the fact of the matter is, the position we're dealing with tonight wasn't funded. This is a new position. We didn't have funding for this position, this specific position. It's a new position. The funding may be available, but we didn't have this position in the budget when we approved it for this calendar year. As far as dealing with it as an amendment, what are we here for? I mean, are we not able to offer amendments? I think the rules make it pretty clear that these kind of things can be done in the amendment process.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Just a few items. Number one, I think this year has been a good example of what you've done, David, with working within your means. And we had a terrible winter, and you were able to do a pretty good job with the budget. You've done a great job with it. So, I think if this is what you're bringing forth, you are the administration, you are the service director. If this is what you bring forth, I think we have to respect that and not try to be the administration up here. So if there's anything you'd add to that, it's my opinion to support the ordinances in front of us, and I am not in support of this amendment at this time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anything else?
Well, Madam Chair, I guess, I sit here and I think over the, I've been on and off council now for 10 years, and I think about the comment Mr. Bug just made, and I think about how this council handled requests for personnel of the previous administration. I mean, for crying out loud. I have been very complimentary of this administration. Very complimentary. And for us to say that we're up here trying to manage city government, this council is charged with creating, eliminating positions and appropriating the funds. So this is fully within our area, and as I've told Mr. Rhodes, I don't have a problem with adding this position. I don't have a problem with eliminating the equipment operator. I even told David that if he wants to keep the equipment operator in there, that's fine. All I'm trying to achieve is to eliminate one management level position. You know, we have got 6 less employees in streets and traffic than we had about 5 years ago. At some stage you think, well, maybe we're getting too many chiefs and not enough Indians. And we've got to have people delivering services.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody would disagree with that, Mark, about delivering services. I think that, the director's, he's made it pretty clear that this is something that I think he might want to consider what you spoke about, but they want some more time to do some fine tuning. So I would respect that opinion that's brought forward. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anything to say? Yes.
Again, I just think it goes back to the fact that it is 2 separate issues in this, and we talk about transparency and bringing things forward. I can understand offering amendments and talking about things, and we've done that with directors up here when they've spoken and said, well, this is kind of making sense. Can you live with that kind of an attitude or concept? And the administration is clearly against this, and then all of a sudden it goes to where you vote against the entire issue, and only half of it is what is. So again, I go back to it should be 2 separate issues. If this is an issue that needs to be presented to full council, and as Councilman Guthrie has indicated, yes, it is the charge of this council to do that. But I just feel as if it should be a separate piece of legislation, and it should go through the proper channels and should be drafted and brought forth through the proper channels instead of just tacking something on, as we criticize our federal government of doing, that they just tack something on in order to get it through or to have something voted against. And I don't feel like this is something that we want to do at this point, and that this should be a separate piece of legislation and just should come through the proper channels.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I think that this council, this administration has had a pretty good relationship. I would call it a trusting relationship. I'd call it a relationship that has good dialogue. As I said to you this morning when I spoke, you're the majority leader, you're the chairperson now. At this second, I do not have an intent to go out and hire somebody for that old position. What my intent is to see how this equipment operator position works out, and then to sit down with you later in the future, probably in about 8 to 10 weeks, and we will determine the direction of the position Councilman Guthrie's speaking of. And at that point, if we're going to make changes to it, we'll bring it back forth through the committee if needed. And if those changes that we make come through the committee, we'll make them come through the committee. And for fairness and for the record, I'm not supportive of a $62,000 a year salary. And that's in part of why I've left that position open. But it is a different level of position than, say, a crew leader. And there could be other changes out there that we've all talked about, but some of them we want to address, some of them we don't. And so that's just a step at a time.
Okay. Mr. Rath, can you come up to the microphone, please?
I'm all in favor of eliminating the chief when we've got too many chiefs and not enough Indians. But if we do this, what's the odds of the unions found agreements because we've eliminated this chief's position without doing due diligence and research.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Anybody respond?
Okay.
Well, I'd be glad to respond.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd be glad to respond, John. The fact is that the position that I recommend eliminating is not a union position, and they would have no purpose for it.
So, are we ready to vote on the amendment? Okay, all those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, the amendment fails. 2 to 3. Now we're back to the main motion. Anybody else, any other discussion on the main motion?
Madam Chair, I'm gonna go ahead and support the main motion, but,
Okay.
but I am, of course, I'm disappointed that I didn't get my amendment in.
Right.
Move forward.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the main motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For that. Yes.